Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey. If you follow the 6M podcast on a regular basis, you know that we've covered Jay-Z quite a bit here on the show. We've done the Black Album, we've done Blueprints Part 1, Part 2, and yes, now, here we go with Part 3. It took us long enough to get here, right? Again, if you're following the show, you know that we released Episode 1, in other words, Blueprint 1 and the Blueprint 2, which was actually a two-parter. We released all three of those episodes in the calendar year 2022. This is our first, Jay-Z themed episode of the 6M in 2023. Again, yes, it took us a while to get here, but hey, better late than never, kids. We finally arrived. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as we get here, you don't get the full album. You're only getting Part 1. How's about that? Huh? What do you think? Yes. Let me just tell you, man, this episode, as you can see, runs about an hour, okay? And the rest of it runs, well, about an hour. So when I say by rest of it, what I mean is with Part 1 here, you're getting the first 8 songs of the album, okay? This is not a double album. This is just the Blueprint. Part 3, as you know, is just a single album, yes? But here with Episode 1, you're getting the first 8 songs. With Part 2 of this episode, you'll get the remaining 7. Okay, and then you'll have a full episode and you'll be happy. You'll have your Jay-Z collection complete. Well, not complete. We still got a lot more Jay-Z to talk about here, but you'll have the Blueprint collection complete anyway, right? And that's always a good thing. So yes, you're welcome. Enjoy the show. Keep your eyes open for Part 2 if it's not been released yet. And if it has, be sure you listen to that after you listen to this one. And that's what I got for you. Enjoy the show, kids. Good things come in threes, kids. Isn't that what they say? Everyone says that. I say that. Sometimes people say death comes in threes. We're not going to go that far. That's a little morbid to start this one off. I'll start it with this. Yes, good things come in threes. And that's why we're talking about number 3 today. That's why we're talking about, well, you can read. You guys know what's up. The Blueprint number 3. This one doesn't have a fancy catchphrase or a great nickname like, Part 2 did, which I kept screwing up, the gift and the curse. It's there. I said it. I got it right this time. I don't think this one had a nickname. Watching me be wrong and Phil will correct me. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But no, kids, good things come in threes. And for this particular edition, how many times can you actually say that Part 3 was better than Part 1? Now, I'm not going to say, I won't speak for Phil here, folks. For me personally, spoiler alert, in my opinion, this album is better than the first Blueprint. Now, that's just me talking. If you catch me on a different day, I may not have that opinion. However, today, that's my opinion. We've done the other 2 Blueprint albums. Part 2, which was a double album, was a 2-parter. So technically, you could say good things come in 4s, I guess, for this show anyway. Blueprint 1 was fun to do. Blueprint 2, not so fun to do. This, I suspect, Part 3 is going to be fun to do. So, Phil, as we kick this sucker off, let me get your broad 100,000-foot view off a cliff if we can, and tell me why, in your opinion, what is different from Part 2 to Part 3? Why is Part 3 better than Part 2, in your opinion?
Part 3 is a better album because I feel like he took his time with it. I don't feel like he recorded for the necessity of recording an album every year, because I think before he retired he was doing that, and he's done interviews where he said, he wasn't vacationing, he was just in the mode. He was recording every year and he got burned out, and I think you could see him getting burned out towards Blueprint 2. I think the evidence is there, and just the choices he made on the album. The fact that I feel like parts of the album are very derivative and he didn't come with anything new. And I feel like because this album took longer to make, and it wasn't like he was just, all right, well, I got to put out a project every year because I've been doing that. It feels like it's not just there are better there's new content here. I mean, there are a lot of Jay isms here that he's done throughout his entire career, but it feels like he finally was ready to step forward and mature as an artist.
Yeah, and we said for Blueprint 2 that there was a lot going on. And it's true, there was a lot going on. And it's funny because we were talking off mic about a wrestling match before we started recording here. And we talked about how there was too much in that match. There was just too much in the Blueprint number 2, just way too much to absorb. But you're right.
Too many songs.
Too many songs. Yes. Too much material,
Too many,
kids.
too many songs.
Too many styles. Too many, and in the end of the day, too many ingredients. Too many ingredients in the stew, right? But like to your point, this one, big difference here. This one's tighter, more concise than part 2, obviously, which isn't hard to do. But also, we had the benefit of you and I both praised Jay's raps on Blueprint 2, which we should have. They were really, really good. It was the beats we would question. It was song placement. It was song choice. It was choice of producers on certain songs. But man, we didn't have any of that here. Not for me. Like it's a 180, dude, from 2 to 3, isn't it?
It is. I will say this though. I feel like Jay, at the point when Blueprint 2 was made, I do think that he was rapping better. And it could have been
Ooh.
that he was hungrier at that time in his career. I feel like that was just a different time. Blueprint 3 is post retirement. He's already done everything. He said everything. He's proven himself. And that's not to say that this is not a good album as well. And he does have great verses on here, but I think some of the verses on Blueprint 2 are better.
Interesting. Yeah, there is that concern that when an artist makes it, they're no longer the same artist. Like you listen to, and it's a weird comparison to make, right? But you listen to Elvis's stuff in '56 when he was first signed. That first 10 years was vintage Elvis. You listen to the stuff after '66, his vocals are still good, but is the fire there? Like I don't know, it depends on your opinion. But yeah, I
Yeah,
totally get that. It's that deal that like you say, he loses some fire, he loses some of his hunger along the way, maybe.
yeah. I mean, look, if you make the Blueprint series a literal trilogy, I think the first album is a statement album. It's his statement to the world that I am the best. There's nobody better than me. The second album is basically him trying to stay on top and the struggle with staying on top. And I feel like the third album is the victory lap. He's done it all. He doesn't have to say it anymore.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you know what? We're going to get into it. I'm anxious to get into this because I'm anxious to get your takes on these. Um, a precursor to this before we really get cranking here. I recently had a trip to Austin, Texas, and I saw three different airports in that week. It's a long story, ridiculous story, but you guys know how it is with air travel. If you ever had a flight canceled, it's not fun. But for some reason, not for some reason, for any reason, I was listening to Jay because I listen to Jay a lot. And this album was, I just, at any given time, I'll get into one of his albums or anybody's album and just keep repeating the album. And then I'll put it down for a week or so and then go back to it. But I had the Blueprint 3 on heavy rotation. So this has become my airport album. So from now on, it's my airline album. Um, let's talk about the first track. First off, let's get into some specs here before we really get rolling here, kids. The first Blueprint, of course, as we know, was 2001. The Blueprint 2 was the very next year. This, the sequel to wrap up the trilogy, if you want to say, 2009. So 7 years after Part 2, which I guess it happens, but we can talk about that as we go, as why it took so long.
Yeah, man, and I think that's another reason why this album is better because a lot of time passed between 2001 and 2009, and that doesn't seem like that much time. But when you just think about how different Jay's life was when 2001 compared to 2009,
Ooh,
it's a stark difference.
yeah.
He's not a Rockefeller artist anymore. He is on Rock Nation. Um, I mean, he's married at this point. Um, is Blue born at that point? Blue, yeah. Blue, well, yeah. There we go. Blue was not born until 2012, so he's
Oh,
at
there
least
you go.
happily married. So
Hmm.
they didn't have their first kid yet, but still, just the fact that his life was drastically different between 2001 and 2009 is a big part of why this album is different. And I think that goes a long way into the maturation of his style and the maturation as an artist.
Yeah, I agree with that, and a more grown up sound, perhaps, which is, I think, what the buzz was on Blueprint One, if I'm not mistaken, was that he'd really come into his own, that his vocals had matured, and that he was farther ahead than what he was. But no, I get your point. This is farther ahead than that even.
This is him stepping away from having to say, "Look, I'm the best," to him being an elder statesman. Like, I've had my time. I've had my time in the sun, but I'm still here. If you still think that I can't drop a good album,
That's an ego thing too, to a large degree, isn't it?
it is. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it on certain songs. I also think that he did things on this album that are intentionally stepping away from the thing that was kind of Blueprint's claim to fame, because a big part of the Blueprint was him having beef, and
Mm,
he kind of quickly addresses beefs in the first song, and then he doesn't anymore for the rest of the album.
good point. Yeah, matured. He matured a little bit and let some of that stuff go.
I do think it would have been a nice full circle moment to have Nas on the album, because they did work together in between 2001 and 2009. And again, that's a wild thing to think about, because he was still beefing with Nas well into Blueprint 2. And so to get all the way up to Blueprint 3, and he was no longer beefing with him. He had done records with him. He had done songs on his album. He had done songs on Nas's album. And so I think a nice full circle moment would have been to have Nas on Blueprint 3. But that is what it is.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that would have made sense. Um, yeah, opportunity missed, perhaps.
Yeah. I
Um,
really like the album cover for Blueprint 3, by the way.
oh, let's talk about it. Yeah, I dig it as well. Um, I don't know if it beats the first one.
Yeah, I don't know if it does either. Yeah, that commercial I shared with you, I love that commercial.
So good. You know,
Um,
but I've never seen that. How have I never seen that?
yeah. It's such a cool commercial of him recreating all of his album covers all the way up to Blueprint 3. It's so
Yeah,
cool. And I think this is the first album of his career that he's not on the cover of it.
good point. Yeah,
And I
good
think that's
call.
part of the reason why the commercial does that, of him doing this evolution of him on every album cover and all of his different looks. And then up to Blueprint 3, where it's like this mashup of all these different instruments, and it just has the three across it. Um, from what I've read, that isn't Photoshop. They actually put together all of that stuff on a set and spray painted it with the red lines across it to get that look.
What is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think all of that
Interesting.
stuff was made on a set somewhere. Uh,
It does look real world when you zoom in on it. Yeah, interesting. I love stories like that.
all right, here we go. Look, the artwork, the cover consists of a large number of all white instruments and recording tools stacked in a corner with three lines across the image. Rather than simply using Photoshop, the album's design team carefully stacked all the equipment in a corner, then used a projector to create the bars. And then they painted the red lines onto the equipment where the projection of the bars was.
That's seems highly unnecessary to me.
Yeah, and there's a confirmation. Blueprint 3 would be the first Jay-Z album with where his face is not on the cover.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, this album runs just over an hour, 60 minutes, 44 seconds. As Phil said, it's not Rockefeller. Big change here, kids. It's Rock Nation, entertainment agency founded by Jay himself in 2008. And producers listed, of course, RJ. Kanye is back. No ID is on here. Shooks or Shucks, and I don't want to mispronounce his name here. Janet Spiewell, Angela Hunt, The Incredibles, Swizz Beats. Good to see Swizz Beats back on here. Timbaland, J Rock, Keno, Jeff Bosker, and the Neptunes. With the Neptunes, we know who that means. So he's back as well. Um, So let's get into this and let's talk about it because there's a lot of songs to cover here. Um, but I think, kids, if you held on and listened to parts 1 and 2 and went through part 2 with us, wasn't much of a fun episode for either one of us, I don't think. But you should enjoy this one. Uh, Track 1 is "What We Talking About." This is featuring Luke Steele. You made the great point on the Blueprint one that Jay has a history of nailing the first song out the gate. And dude, once again, in my opinion, he nailed the first song out the gate. This has a big feel to it. It's the sound of it. It feels like a hall. It feels like it doesn't feel like a little nightclub. It feels big. It's just that's how it hits my ears. What do you think about what we talking about to open up this album?
Um, yeah, vocals from Luke Steele on it. I really like Empire of the Sun as a band. Um, Walking on a Dream is a great record. I mean, come on, man. I'm a big fan of Empire of the Sun, especially the first album. Um, so I was happy to see him on the album. That is not a collaboration I thought that I would see. Luke Steele from Australia and Jay-Z, but it just goes to show how far Jay has come as an artist. He's not a guy that's just going to collaborate with hip hop guys or the usual R&B singers. He's a global star now. This is a guy that had done Glastonbury at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I just feel like this song is huge. It's one of those. Uh, if you compare it to the Ruler's Back from the first album, for example, and like I said, the fact that it's this big statement, I feel like this song is the same way. It makes this big statement to start the album.
Yeah. Oh man, 100%. Producer on this one is West and No ID. That's Mr. Kanye West to you kids. Dude, as we know, Kanye's had done really good stuff with Jay and some stuff that's not so good. This is so good. It's like they're back in their groove. I mean, it makes you wonder it on the songs that kind of miss. And look, kids, they miss for being Phil. It doesn't mean they miss for you. But on the songs they feel that you feel like they kind of miss, what made them miss there but work in other spots? Any particular reason that you could think of?
I think some of the songs that didn't work were kind of rushed. I think
Mm,
when they're in their bag and they work well together and they take their time putting out stuff, it's usually good.
yeah.
And I mean, I just don't want to discount No ID here. No ID is just a very underrated producer, in my opinion. I feel like he produced some very good Common albums, and he produced some very good Jay songs on this album. Um, yeah, I don't know how much of it was Wes's contributions on this song, and how much of it was No ID, but No ID's touches are all over this album.
Yeah, and the lyrics. Um, what is you talking about? I don't know what y'all saying. People keep talking about Hove, take it back. I'm doing better than before. Why would I do that? Ain't nothing cool about carrying a strap, about worrying your moms and burying your best cat. I'm talking about revenge while carrying his casket, all teary eyed, about to take it to a mattress. I mean,
Yeah,
once again, Phil, his rhymes are on point here.
when you really think about what he's actually saying, it's almost like the Iverson rant. Like, we talking about practice, we talking about that over there. We're not talking about that no more. We're moving forward. Um, and so I think a lot of what he says here, like, we still talking about Dame. I'm not talking about Dame. I ain't talking about Jimmy. I ain't talking about Dame. I'm moving forward. Um, and so essentially him saying, like, no, I'm not talking about beef no more. And again, that's the growth from Blueprint. Like, he doesn't have to do that anymore. Like, I'm done with that. I've moved on. And so to reference it in the verse here, and I love the way he ends the verse with that Santa Claus reference, and he's like, he said, "Grown men want me to sit them on my lap, but I
Yeah,
ain't Santa Claus. But I ain't got a beard, and Santa Claus ain't black. I repeat, can't sit on my lap. I ain't got a beard, and I get off my sack."
that's good stuff. That's perfect. The best artists, Phil, are a step ahead of the audience. And I don't mean like intelligence wise, but they're a step ahead. You go to see your favorite artist, you buy your favorite artist album because you want to know what's up now. And if you get the same retread, if you get the greatest hits, that's fine. but he didn't give you anything new. And to your
Yeah.
point, this song kind of makes a statement. Hey, if you came here for the old stuff, you came to the wrong album. This is something new.
Yeah. I think he also is just like, no, I've been there. I've done the street stuff. I've done the boardroom stuff. I've done all of that. I'm at the point where I have Obama on speed dial. Like,
Oh,
nah,
that's
we're
good.
done with that over there.
Yeah. He referenced Obama a couple of times in this album, didn't he?
Yeah, this is like right in the midst of the election. This is right after Obama won. So
Mm-hmm.
Obama won in 2008, right? And this album dropped in 2009.
There you go. Yeah, something very cool about that. But yeah, I mean, the first one's a hit for me. I dig it. I've always been a fan of this, and we don't want to get too far into this, kids. But just to tease what's coming, we got to mention the singles, Phil, real quick. DOA, Death of Autotune, Run This Town, Empire State of Mind. On to the next one, Young Forever, and A Star Is Born are your 6 singles. Should this have been a single? You think?
I don't think it needs to be a single. I think it works as a opening for the album. I think he does intro so well that I think people just love the intros. It's one of those good B sides. Um, but I mean, again, when you really think of the timing of this and think of where Jay came from, could I imagine the guy that made Streets is Watching, being the guy that the first black president called, like, "Hey, I need you on the campaign." What? Like, saying, and him, of course, bragging about that several times throughout the album, because I'm sure he's thinking about it like, I'm a guy that didn't finish school. um, I'm a guy that didn't vote, admittedly didn't vote for a long time, and the the first black president is calling me like, I need your help.
Crazy. Amazing how things have changed here. This song runs 4 minutes and 4 seconds. As we said, it's a fitting opening. I like this song a lot. Number two, Phil, is a little bit more down the lounge lizard alley that Jay has gone before. And it's entertaining to me when he does that. That what does he do? Thank you, you're far too kind. And then he actually fleshed it out, made it into an actual jam here. Um, it's just, and I almost say silly. It's just on the nose enough to be good. If it had gone any more with it, it may have been a little bit too annoying to me. But I like this track a lot. This has got Kanye featured on the writing for this song. He is producer with this again with no idea. So back to back tunes. This runs for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. What do you think about Thank You?
Uh, I think "Thank You" is one of the best songs on the album. I think
Mm.
for a long time I had it as my ringer. Um, it's yeah, I love "Thank You." I love this beat. One of my favorite rappers also rapped on this beat on a mixtape, and yeah, it's just I think it's one of the best songs on the album. I think it has some of his best verses on the album, particularly the second and the third verse. Um, Man, him starting the second verse with referencing Hovey Baby off the second album. I mean, off the second Blueprint, and giving I tipped the waiter $100 to keep the ice cold. such a great, such a great line.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can't live by my word, then I'd much rather die. No, don't thank me. This is how my suit is stitched. I love that album. This is how my suit is stitched. I'm cut from a different cloth. I'm just who the shoe fits. Dude, I gotta be honest with you. After covering a few different rappers on this show, man, he is one of my favorite lyricists of all time. To me, this is really, really good writing. Forget the rap part of it. If there was no music set to this is still good writing because it fits and he makes it work and it sounds really good. I mean, this
Yeah,
might be one of his best performances on the album, I think.
I think it's. I think he gets into some of his best verses on this song. I love the line of him saying, "I just apply logic, keys open doors." Of course, which is a drug reference. Basically saying him selling drugs opened all these doors. Um, yeah, and I mean, I absolutely love the third verse of him again referencing stuff from the trilogy and referencing 9/11 and now in the because the first album dropped on 9/11, um, but just basically saying, I was gonna get back into beef. I was gonna drop a verse about some of these dudes I'm not getting along with, but I don't really have to do that because they caught that L themselves. I didn't have to do nothing. And it's just such a good verse. It's basically like essentially, like, if you're the guy, you don't have to tell anybody you're the guy. If they are who they say they are, they'll ascend to where you are. But if they're
Yeah.
not, they'll fail. You don't have to help them fail.
I was going to kill a couple rappers, but they did it to themselves. I was going to do it with the flow, but they did it with their sales. Oh, that's awesome.
They thought they was ill, found out they was ill.
Yeah. Oh, then he did a 9/11 bit, and it's not too awesome. But I mean, I get it. But no, he's on his game here, man. Once again, and it's sort of like the more you talk, and not for nothing, Phil, but when we think about rappers who had a lot to say at one point, what's happened. Like, fast forward 5, 10 years later, sometimes 2 years later, where are they at? Jay's still standing. He may not be the young, hungry 20-year-old that he was, but dude, if he wanted to cut an album today and really wanted to dig in, he could do it, and it would probably win a Grammy out the gate because he's that good. But
Yeah.
yeah, so good, man.
But I mean, just think about how frustrated he sounds on the second verse of Blueprint 2, and he is just going on this long tirade about all the things he's done, and he doesn't feel appreciated. And compare that to Thank You.
Yeah.
It's a completely different tone, and I think it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, no, I don't have anything to prove to certain people anymore. Like, I've already been there and done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's following up the first one with another good one. I mean, tracks 1 and 2 are excellent. Um, we're heading to track 3, kids. The next one is a single off the album. This one runs for 4 minutes 15 seconds. This is DOA, Death of Autotune. No ID is listed as the sole producer on this one, dude. For me, this begins the head bobbing portion of the album. Uh, not that I don't head bob on the first two, but this one really gets me started. And you want to know if a dude's into an album or into a song he's listened to, just pay attention to him and you'll see his head start moving. This is for me where that happens. I freaking love this song. Um, and you would think that maybe the refrain of the na 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 hey hey goodbye might get annoying. It doesn't for me. I dig this song. What do you think about Death of Autotune?
Yeah, I love the No ID production on this. I love the guitar riff he used. I don't know what this is a sample of, but I'm assuming it's a sample. Um, yeah, I love this record. Just that time period and just the oversaturation of autotune, the oversaturation of the mainstream ringtone rappers. Um, this just one of those moments where Jay is one of those guys who's been there and seen it all, and he's kind of coming back like, "This is what y'all are doing now." Like, in my day, you had to rap. Of course, that makes him sound old, but at the same time, it's like, "Nah, we're not doing that anymore." I'm drawing a line in the sand. We don't have to do that.
I despise autotune. It's another show for another time. I hate it. I hate it. No matter what form of music you're talking about, I hate it. I don't know why artists feel it's necessary. I don't know why it continues to sell. I don't know why people are suckers for it. And I'm sorry. It's that's how it sounds to me. Like, you can't tell someone can carry a tune or not. Like, what are we doing here? There's men not singing, not harmonizing, rapping, speaking their words, and it's auto tune. I don't get the appeal of it. Maybe there's an appeal to it for some people, but if it's a choice between auto tune rapper in 2022 or Jay from 2009, not I'll take Jay. I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that have done great things with autotune. I don't want to discount a lot of T Pain's career. T Pain has had a fantastic career.
Very
Um,
true.
but I just think it got to the point where everybody was doing it and it stopped being just the thing that T Pain did. That was his niche. And I just got tired of it. It got completely oversaturated.
Yeah, and to his credit, man, he's come out in the press and blatantly said it killed his career, or almost did. That it was just something that he did, and then everyone started doing it, and it became, well, it's this guy's. It's like the room full of people in the movie that all point to the guy in the corner. It's that guy's fault. It's like,
I
wait a minute,
mean,
I didn't tell you people to do it.
yeah, I mean, get back to rap. You T Paining too much.
Woo! Yeah.
um, yeah, I love this record. It's also like the start of the basically the new Jay-Z ad lib that he started doing at this time, and he does it a lot in this album, where he'll drop a line and he'll go, "Ah."
Yeah.
And he for a long time he would just rap. He didn't have like a notable ad lib. Like a lot of rappers, like you can think of let me think. Like there, a lot of rappers have notable ad libs. Like Jeezy has notable ad libs. Jeezy's later on the album. E40 has notable ad libs. He makes that weird noise, ooh. And so Jay has never had like a staple ad lib, and I feel like the that became his ad lib after this album.
Jay's got isn't that what he does?
Yeah, he does that a few times, but
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like this ad lib was very prevalent on this
Oh,
album.
it's very much.
He
In
does it a
fact,
lot on this song in particular too.
yeah, in fact, when you hear it, it reminds you of another song because you can't help it. It links to something else.
Yeah,
Right out of the gate with this song, dude, he's swinging. This is anti-auto-tune, death of the ringtone. This ain't for iTunes. This ain't for sing-alongs. This is Sinatra at the opera, Bring a Blonde, preferably with a fat bottom, we'll say, who can sing a song. Phil, once again, we're back to the Sinatra comparison. I'm gonna tell you right now, how do you compare the great Frank Sinatra with the great Jay-Z? It's two different, entirely musical styles. I'm telling you, man, for the hip hop generation, Jay is Frank. I'm sorry. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, maybe it's just because he said he is why I feel that way. I guess if you're self branding, it worked with this guy. But man, once again, back to the Frank Sinatra reference, and it's perfect for Jay, isn't it?
it is. By the way, the double entendre he does after the Sinatra line is fantastic. To do Bring a Blonde, and you think it's just like, yeah, bring a date that he's going, no, bring a blonde, preferably somebody that can sing a song, basically saying, not a fat lady singing, it's over. It's over for auto-tune. Get that out of here.
Ah, very good. Yeah, very good. This ain't politically correct. This might offend my political connects. Oh, that's
Which
good.
is that's another J-ism, like grand opening, grand closing that I use in everyday conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That might offend your political connects. I use that in regular conversation all the time. I just said it on the phone like 24 hours ago.
Yeah. This is another hit for me, man. This is three in a row. Some albums I can't make two in a row before I skip a track, and I mean we're up to three in a row here. It's really good, kids. I mean, this is yeah, really good stuff. This song is killing it, man. No wonder it's a single. Really good tune.
Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark's 6M podcast sent you.
Yeah, let's see. Get back to rap. You T-paining too much. I'm a multimillionaire, so how is it I'm still the hardest? Yeah, I mean, he's not lying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It is very funny that he basically makes it out that this is this hard record and this isn't to be a radio single, this isn't all of that, and it ends up being a huge single. It's the first single on the album, and it ends up being one of the most downloaded songs on iTunes that year and stuff. So yeah, it is kind of hypocritical, but at the same time, it's such a good song.
Yeah, and this was meant to send a message, draw a line saying about where rap was and where it should be. I think we pointed that out. Yeah, good stuff. And supposedly at the time that people were talking about he was old and out of touch. I'm sorry. Nothing could be further from the truth. This guy could do anything on an album, on a record. He still could if he wanted to. Yeah, I'm a fan of this dude.
I mean,
Always.
It says everything that he could say that and people would listen to him.
Yeah.
And he's done that several times in his career where he's just decided, okay, we're not doing that anymore, and everybody will go, well, if Jay not doing it, we're not doing it. Yeah. Like for him to come out and just go, we're not wearing jerseys nowhere, we're wearing button ups and jeans, and everybody's like, yeah, he's right. Or him to come out in this album and go, no, we don't have to do that anymore. Get your suit game up, and more people are wearing suits.
Yeah, I mean, he's a trendsetter, man. That's what he is. Well, kids, we're heading to number 4 now. The first of what we can say is a duet here, not the last. This is "Run This Town," running at 4 minutes 27 seconds, featuring Rihanna. This is produced by Kanye, No ID, again, and also Basker is on this one as well. All right, so I like this tune. I don't skip this tune. Let me be clear. I don't skip this tune. I do enjoy this song. I think Jay's good in it. I am not a huge fan of Rihanna, if I'm being blunt. It's just me. But her vocal on this is so monotone. I think that's what throws me. I'm not saying it doesn't fit, because it kind of fits, but that's really the only criticism I have of this tune. Again, I don't skip it. Is it my favorite? No, it's not. What's your opinion on "Run This Town"?
So what you're saying is you're not a fan of Umbrella?
No.
I love the J verse on Umbrella, by the way. No clouds in my stones.
Yeah, man. What do you think?
This is one of the songs on the album that I got tired of immediately, because it was on the radio constantly, and that's what it was made for. It was made to be a radio record. And again, this is one of those things with Blueprint 2 where I felt like there were collabs he did in Blueprint 2, and there were things he was doing on that album where it felt like he was chasing a hit. And I feel like on this album, everything that was supposed to work and everything that was supposed to be the radio record hit. And I feel like "Run This Town" is a perfect example of that. Like, you could, looking at it from afar, you can go, okay, well, it's him, it's Rihanna, it's Kanye on the same record. Like, these are 3 huge stars. This thing is built to be what it was, but it worked. It's a huge record. And I mean, yeah, his first few lines on there, just the "we are," yeah, I said it, we are. It always hits every time I hear it.
Oh yeah, the opening's perfect. Yeah. I can't get over the vocal. I can't. And look, she's multimillionaire at this point, right? It's working. Well, who am I to judge? I don't care. Sing how you want to sing. It works. Just the way it hits my ears, it's just not really working for me. Not to jump so quick, but I want to get to the next one so we can kind of compare and contrast.
Well, I will say this before we leave "Run This Town." I think the other through line between the Blueprint series is just the evolution and the growth of Kanye West. And I feel like if you follow Kanye's production on the first album, and that album really put Kanye on the map as a producer, and then he kind of made his debut on the trilogy, and what I felt was a terrible verse on The Bounce on Blueprint 2.
Yes.
But I feel like his verse on "Run This Town" is much, much better than anything else he's done. I feel like his verse on here is very good. He has another very good verse on the album that I feel like it's possibly better than the J verse on the other song. But yeah, I feel like that is absolutely one of the big stories of Blueprint 3 is Kanye West's growth as an artist and him becoming, the guy in some ways, him being the second in line.
We give a D about the drama that your dude bring. I'm just trying to change the color on your mood ring. Dude, that's a great freaking line. And you have to be a certain age to know what that is. If you don't know what a mood ring is, that's awesome. I love that line.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain lines in there. Kanye always brings certain lines that are kind of cheesy to me. But the verse was so good. Just his delivery is great on it. You could just see how much more comfortable he is as a rapper, and more comfortable he is on a song with Jay. It's just night and day from The Bounce.
100%. Yeah. Can I skip it? Sure. Do I skip it? Not really. Really, I usually just listen. No, my kid's not happy about this song. My kid's a Jay fan also, but usually he'll have me skip this if I'm the one controlling the music in my car. Usually he's the one doing it, but
yeah,
he'll skip and go to the next one.
It's a very poppy record. It's a very mainstream radio record.
Very, very true. But to Phil's point, it was made for that, and it worked.
It's what it was supposed to do. It definitely worked, because that year it was everywhere.
And Jay's quote about this song was, "We basically run this town. It's myself, Rihanna, and Kanye. That's pretty much it." Hard Hard to argue with that. But I didn't want to leave this prematurely, but I had to get to the next one because you talk about a compare contrast of two different songs with two different female side vocalists on it. We go to Empire State of Mind. Now, Empire State of Mind compared to Run This Town runs for 436 to Run This Town's 427. So the time is basically the same. Shooks and Sewell and also Hunt are the producers listed on this. This is Empire State of Mind featuring Alicia Keys, who, in my opinion, pound for pound, is a better vocalist, in my opinion, than Rihanna is. She's got more range, obviously. Dude, we said this, I think, at the tail end of part 2. It was either off mic or on mic. I can't remember now what we did, but this is, in my opinion, next to 99 Problems, and there's been several, so it's one guy's opinion. This is one of Jay's defining moments on an album, and in my opinion, could be the defining moment of his recording career. To me, that's how big this song is. This song is totally New York. It's totally Jay. It feels like a Jay track from start to finish. I can't say enough good things about this. Tell me your thoughts on Empire State of Mind.
Yeah, Empire State of Mind is just an enormous record. It's definitely one of the defining moments of his career. And again, if you wanna do all of the storyline from the 3 albums, um, in the first album, that's the first album he does the Frank Sinatra reference, and he's like, "I'm Frank Sinatra," and then he samples Frank Sinatra in Blueprint 2, and it doesn't go over as well. And I feel like this song is the first time that I feel like he steps into that moniker, and he makes this New York anthem, and it like I feel like over 3 albums he made us believe it's like, no, yeah, he's Sinatra. And I feel like this song is it. This song is the testament to it. And not just that, I feel like there's other weird things like him in Blueprint 2 referencing Sex in the City. And just thinking that's a weird thing for Jay to reference. And then Empire State of Mind is so big that it's in the soundtrack for the Sex in the City movie.
Oh, well done. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just man, just the doors he opened, just how big he got, performing at Radio City Hall. Come on, man. Just the as far as he got with this record and how big this record was. One of my favorite performances I've seen him perform it was I think it was the MTV Video Awards. And he does this really cool thing where a car pulls up and he gets out the car. Somebody hands him a hat and his jacket, and he puts it on. And he walks behind set, almost like Goldberg. He's walking on the set, and then he walks in, and him and Alicia Keys perform it. It's so cool. And that's also the infamous performance where Lil Mama walks on stage and she's like in the middle of the performance and he like whispers to her, "You T-Paining me?" Yeah, man, what a time when this album came out, man. I think at that time what this album was supposed to make you feel and what he did several times in songs on this album is going and showing you like, man, this is it. This is my legacy. I've been around since 96. At that point, 2009, that's over 20 years. It's hard to be a rapper and have longevity. And for him to be still doing big records at that point in his career, like Empire State of Mind, it's huge.
Yeah, the beat's good. The vocals are great. He's on point as he usually is. The rhymes are perfect. He mentions various streets, various locations in New York. Has to mention the Knicks and the Nets. It's very much a New York song. I mean, it fits 100%. I mean, everything about this is just. He mentions the Yankees. Catch me at the X with OG at a Yankee game. I made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. I mean, yeah, I'll take that. And I mean, yeah, you should know. You should know I bleed blue, but I ain't a crypto. I mean, wow, just killing it again. And even references Africa Bambaataa in this. I mean, what?
Yeah, home of the hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this line, but it's one of those. Every time I think of the song, I think of the if Jeezy's paying LeBron, I'm paying Dwayne Wade. It's a very confusing line, but every time I think of the song, that's the first line that pops up, uh or the bus the bus lines. Mommy took a bus trip. Now she got a bus out. Everybody rides her just like a bus route.
Yeah. So a funny side note to that is that according to Wade, when he heard this, he said, "This is when I felt like I made it in pop culture. Once Jay-Z did, I felt like I was on that respect level of artists that I respect. I remember where I was. I was with my guys and we were hanging out and somebody texted me like, yo, listen to this song. So he didn't even tell him he was in the song. That's got to be the coolest thing. Even when you're famous and rich and a ball player, that's still got to be cool when you get referenced in a song that big. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this, man. I could spend all day. I could spend a whole show on just this song.
Yeah, it's of course that that line, it's a reference to a Jeezy song, but it's also it's a drug reference in there that I have a hard time decoding, but it's it's essentially like if Jeezy was paying 23, which is, the Jordan number, if he was paying 23,000 for kilos, like it's something like that. I don't remember. It's a drug reference, but it went over my head when I heard it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's man, what a great song. I can't get over how good this song is. It's one of my all-time favorite songs right here. Um, and for us to talk about something that we continue to gush about as a great song, and then you expect, well, sooner or later you're going to hit something of a road bump. Even Jay's going to occasionally have a miss. The Blueprint 2 is filled with misses, in our humble opinion, or songs that almost made it but didn't quite make it. I'm sorry. I think track number 6, Real as It Gets, featuring Jeezy, is very good. Produced by The Incredibles, runs for 4 minutes, 12 seconds. There's a lot of Jeezy on this track, Phil. Man, this track kills. Like, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm going to ask you. For me, this song works. Everything works about it. The song, the mood of the song. It's a little, I don't want to say down, but it's somber. It's a great way to follow up Empire, actually, because it's not as upbeat and up tempo. It's kind of down, but it still feels big. And Jeezy's work on this is great. So talk about Real as It Gets.
Um, Real as It Gets is a great record. I think Jeezy kind of steals the song because Jeezy's verses on
Yeah.
here are so good.
Yes.
Um, and I feel like this is what I mean earlier, in the sense that Jay on the Blueprint it was his statement album to say, I'm the best, basically get on my level. Um, and this album, I feel like he puts a lot of guys on, and I feel like he gives other guys the spotlight a lot in this album. I mean, you can make the argument that he gives Kanye the spotlight twice in this album, in the sense that it's like, no, I don't really need to prove that I'm the best anymore. I've already cemented that. Like, I'm using this album to be an elder statesman and go, hey, look at this guy, look what he's doing. And he's worked with Jeezy a bunch of times in his career. Um, he had the verse on "Go Crazy" while he was retired, which is a iconic Jay-Z verse, and they've worked together and had great collaboration. So it was cool to see him give him the nod on Blueprint 3.
Yeah, and I mean, the song kicks off with a line that he's used a couple of different times, a reference to a Black album, and I'm sure to another album. Allow me to reintroduce myself, but it's not followed with "My name is Hove, H to the OV," but instead it's allow me to reintroduce myself. At the same time, reintroduce my wealth. At the same time, rejuvenate the game. It's from my old dog that used to Kane. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, like you said, Jay-Z steals the song, man. But you know what? If you're Jay-Z, you're okay with that because it's your album and you've got nothing left to prove. Even though you could argue that he's always feeling like he's got something to prove to somebody. But man, I can't say enough good things about this. If I didn't get Empire on this album, but I had this, I maybe wouldn't be talking about this as the greatest song he's ever done. But man, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, there's nothing about this song I don't like. And usually, not usually, but sometimes I'll find something that for me, something's not clicking. There's nothing about this song that doesn't click for me. I think it's just really, really well done. Um,
Yeah, him and Jeezy work very well together. I think
oh, yeah.
Jeezy on his verses are good. I think Jeezy on the hook is good. Yeah, I really like the song.
Well, kids, we're moving right along here. We're going to go to track number 7 now, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. As we said at the intro of this album or the intro of this podcast, Swizz Beatz is back. I'm always glad when Swizz Beatz is on board. This is on to the next one. It's my favorite song on the album. I can't get enough of this song. There's something about it. And you would think on to the next one would begin to become, all right, stop. It's monotonous. You say it every second. But I love it. It's just, there's something about this. I could put this on repeat and listen to it a dozen times and it would never get old. For me, this is a hit. And it's the best track on the album for me. What's your take on to the next one?
Yeah, I love On to the Next One. I feel like it fits the theme of the album of progress and moving forward, and not staying on old ideas. And again, that's why this album is better than Blueprint 2, because this album is about moving past that and doing something different. And I feel like this song is drastically different for Jay. I feel like the sound is different. The production is great on this. I feel like Swizz brought his A game to this. I really enjoy just the sample. Whatever he's using as a sample for the hook is great. And the way he uses it and kind of splits it up and chops it up later in the song is great. Jay has some of his best verses on this. Yeah. I can't say enough good things about On to the Next One.
Well, this sucker won a Grammy. Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group at the 53rd Grammy Awards, making this in total Jay-Z's 13th Grammy. Not like it's his first time to the show, kids. His 13th Grammy overall. And Swizz Beatz' first Grammy Award. In my opinion, Phil, it's a shame it took this long for Swizz Beatz to get a Grammy.
But again, I've said this several times when we've talked about Jay, but Jay manages to start a song with 2 bars that will always hook people in. And I think somehow that's like his gift as an artist. He'll always figure out a way to give you 2 bars that are like, even if the song is that great, he'll give you 2 bars that hook you into the song. I said it when we talked about Run This Town, where I don't care how tired of the song I've gotten, the first few lines of it always hook me in. And this is the same thing, man. Hove on a new, come on, man. Ninjas like, how come? They want to hear my old stuff. Buy my old
album. I love that. Are you kidding me? That to me is back to that grand opening, grand closing. That's a great line. You want my old stuff? Buy my old album. Perfect.
Yeah. Just a great way to start the song, man.
To answer the point that was made here, the song contains a vocal sample of the words Under the Spotlight, as well as a background synthesizer sound from the live version of Justice's song Dance, D-A-N-C-E.
Yeah. Yeah, the production on this song is so good, man.
So good, dude. It's so good.
The third verse where I think it's the third verse where he starts with the Big Pimpin' in the House Now. And the beat changes under him. It's so cool.
So good. Yeah. I'm telling you, I praised Empire State of Mind. It deserves it, but man, I freaking love this song. The chorus is great, never gets old. And the song, every time you think the song might be winding down, it goes to another verse. I'm always happy. It's so weird. I'll look at the time, notice the time on the dash in the car, and I'll notice it's not over. And I'm so happy because it's so weird because I just don't want the song to end. That to me is a compliment when you can't wait for the song to keep going, and then you're going to rewind it or play it again anyway. So good, man.
I mean, they're just choices they make on this song. Like, it would have been easy for this to get very repetitive. But like I said, when it gets to that third verse and the beat changes and Jay gets in his bag with the Big Pimpin' in the House Now, brought the land toward the motherfucking house down. Yeah, I love it.
MJ is Summer Jam, Obama on the text. Y'all should be afraid of what I'm going to do next. Another great line. Love it.
Yeah. Isn't that the same verse he drops the Oprah line with
yes.
Oprah chilling in the projects?
Yeah. Had her out in Bed-Stuy chilling on the steps. Drinking quarter waters, I gotta be the best.
Have you ever seen that episode of Oprah, by the way? It's so weird. Jay-Z does Oprah, right? Which is kind of a big deal because Oprah is not a rap fan. Like, she has been very critical of rap for a long time. And so to have Jay on is a big deal. And so he was on and they they were in Bed-Stuy. He took her to Bed-Stuy, and that's where part of the interview is. And they went and bought quarter wars. This actually happened. Like none of this stuff he's saying in this verse is fake. And so, and he also does this freestyle where he's attempting to teach Oprah how to rap, and it's just like I was watching it like, no, this is the guy that made Streets is Watching. This is like drug dealer Jay-Z. What the heck is he doing on Oprah? Like what? And I mean, even him teaching her to rap is just it comes off so cheesy and corny. It's like, what has happened? Like it's like, but again, this is growth. This is just how far he's come in his career.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Can't say enough good things about this, man. Can't say enough good things about this. And spoiler alert, kids, you're not gonna believe this. We're heading to track 8, and guess what? It still stays good. It's getting gooder. I don't know what to tell you. The next track is it's Off That featuring Drake. Phil, not a big Drake fan. He kills it on this song. I'm a major fan of this song. 4 minutes 8 seconds, or 4 minutes 6 seconds. Timbaland's back with J Rock on the production on this time. Dude, this song has a much different feel than the one before it, and a much different feel than the one before that. It's got a different tempo.
Yeah.
You got the I think it's a hand clapper, the beat in the background. Dude, it's perfect. It's low key again, but it's that driving beat that nails it. I love Off That. Talk about it.
Yeah, this is another song on the album where the beat almost feels like futuristic.
Yeah.
It just feels like, again, it's the same theme of progress and moving forward. And this is such a different sound for Jay. You would think like it wouldn't work, but I think that it works for what it is. And again, it's him giving another guy that is considered a top guy now the spotlight. Drake doesn't have a verse on here, but putting Drake on the hook of it, and yeah, basically going like, hey, again, here's another dude. This guy's gonna be huge. And I mean, we know what Drake has done. Drake's career is, it's cemented at this point.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, he and are you a Drake guy, by the way? Do you like his stuff?
It depends. I don't always care for the singy song stuff. When he tries to do his R&B stuff, I'm not as big of a fan. But as a rapper, I enjoy Drake. There's certain albums I really like If You're Reading This Is Too Late. That's probably my favorite Drake album. But he does a lot of rapping on there. Yeah, in small doses. I appreciate Drake. I'll say that. I appreciate his longevity, and I appreciate his career. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a bigger rapper right now than Drake.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean the rap once again, dude. The rap's on point. Everything's on point with this. Drake's bits are working. Jay's raps are killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Tell Rush Limbaugh to get off my balls. I love that. It's 2010, not 1864.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another. It's a Jayism, right? It's a Jayism.
Yeah, I don't know why it pops me every time when he starts the verse with the "I don't get a fit up a bit out of it."
Yeah. If you got mad respect for Jay Farrow's even got the Jayisms down to the point where you're like, God, that's Jay. If you close your eyes, you swear it's Jay talking. So good.
Yeah, he has the best Jay-Z impersonation I've ever heard.
My God. So good. Got a black president, got green presidents. The way he finishes that lineup, it's beautiful. I love it. Blueprints in my white iPod. Black diamonds in my Jesus piece, my God. Holy Lord, man. You kidding me?
Yeah. This isn't like the best lyrical performance by Jay, but I feel like his delivery on here is very good. I feel like the way he rides this beat and the way that he picks his pockets on his beat it's just second to none. I mean, yeah. I will say that I feel like in terms of lyrical stuff, I feel like he was in the top of his game around Blueprint 2 and the Black Album. But I still feel like performance wise on this album, he's still top notch.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like I said, I'm a fan of this. I think it's working. It's just and I don't know how your opinion is on the rest of the album, man, but
There's only one song on the album that I don't like.
See, you told me that before we recorded, and you didn't tell me, and I was like, "Don't tell me," because I don't want to know. I still don't want to know.
We'll get to it. It's the only one song on the album I do not like.
I still don't want to know.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.